Clock's wrong, so we'll go. Call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody, including all of our guests. Roll call, please.
Callahan? Here. Houston?
Here.
Hannah?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Here.
Pursuant?
Here.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen? Here.
I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
This would also include, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 7-0. Next is public comment. I understand we do have a public comment today.
Good evening. I'm Leanne Harrison, and I'm one of the members of the 175th anniversary for independence. Just wanted to make everybody aware that, yes, we are celebrating all year long. And so we still have some events yet planned. We have had lots of events earlier. The Wapsipinicon Mill Facebook in March had a daily series of early independence. That will happen again in October every day, and that will be different than what the first one was. We had a time capsule that was buried recently, and so I thank everybody for attending and for participating. And we had a lot of unique items, and whether or not 50 years from now they'll know what they are or not. We still have a 175th coin available, and that's through the Chamber of Commerce. And the first Sunday of the month historical event series will be again in October and November. The first Sunday in October will be at the Heartland Acres Theater area, and the first Sunday in November will be at the Lee Mansion. We will also have a grand finale, a night in the museum, on November 12th. So watch for further information on that. Thanks to all the local historians who have helped for keeping this history alive all year long. And we hope to see everybody at all the events.
Leanne, can those dates be found on the chamber website
Yes,
of those events?
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Leanne. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next we'll move to the consent agenda. I need a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda, but it also includes the following. So it's the minutes from the September 9, 2022 special meeting. It's the minutes of the September 12, 2022 regular meeting. A Hardig Drug number 14 Class C liquor license renewal that includes a Class C beer permit, a Class B wine permit, and Sunday service from November 12, 2022 through November 11, 2023. It also includes Wee Willie Checkered Flag LLC, a Class C liquor license renewal that includes the Sunday service from October 1st, 2022 through September 30th of 2023, and the Wee Willie Checkered Flag amendment that includes the outdoor service from October 1st, 2022 through September 30th of 2023. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, we move to the financials section. I need a motion to approve the claims for payment.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion with regard to the financials? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the claims for payment?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, we move to the item B, which is the budgeted and monthly transfers. Is there any discussion with regard to those financials? Hearing none, we'll move to item C, which is the revenue and expenses to date. Does anybody have any discussion or information with regard to the financials? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to item 4, which is the LMI homeowner repair. We're going to start with A, which is the LMI homeowner repair program public hearing. First, I need a motion to receive and file the proof of publication of the notice of public hearing for the LMI homeowner repair program.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of that, please say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that passes 7-0. Next, I need a motion to hold the public hearing with respect to the same item, the LMI Homeowner Repair Program.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion to hold the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 7-0. We're now in public hearing with regard to the low, moderate income homeowner repair program. Is there any discussion or anybody wishes to be heard with respect to that program or those issues? There's 3 properties that are involved. 402 2nd Street Southwest, 504 4th Street Northwest, and 202 19th Avenue Northwest, Lot 6.
Do we have any written comments or anything?
I did not receive anything for him, so.
Okay, if there's no further information, then I need a motion to close the public hearing and receive and file the oral and the non-written that we didn't get comments.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, we move to item B, which is the consideration of bids for the LMI Homeowner Program, Repair Program. You may speak.
So similarly with the first round, we did not receive any bids for this. On the applications that I did get back, some did submit quotes, so I'll talk with Todd tomorrow or Wednesday and maybe reach out to at least one homeowner because they got 2 quotes, one from different companies for the same work, so it's who do you want? Because one is 9 windows and one is 8 windows, so not really sure why the difference, but Todd and I will work with that and then we'll bring it back to council, so.
Okay, any further discussion with regard to that? Okay, let's move on to the next item, which is item number C then, which is to approve the bids submitted for the LMI Homeowner Program. So we don't have any additional bids to
No,
there,
not at
so
this time.
so there's no reason to make a motion with regard to that. So we'll move to item B on the agenda, which is the urban renewal area. First, I need a motion to approve a resolution which would delete the property for the Tyler Rasmussen Storage Buildings on Iowa Avenue from the Independence Urban Renewal Area. That's,
You need a motion?
I need a motion.
I'd make that motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote.
When did we become aware that he didn't want
It's not a matter of him,
So where he has built his storage units, they're in an area that's already been created, but there's not enough time left to, for the city and the county to gather the increment, what he did. We've only got like 1 year left. So we need to take it out and put it back in to get the
Value
proper,
of the TIF.
yep, the full value.
so what you're going to see is you'll have a motion that'll be deleting it from this, and then you'll have another motion which will come up in a few minutes, which will be adding it in with another one.
Well, so we've got this resolution, then we have an ordinance, and then the last one is a resolution for a public hearing to put this back in and then add a new section.
Everybody okay with that?
And this doesn't affect property taxes at all, does it?
No.
No. Okay, so I've got the motion and I've got the second, so this is a roll call vote then on the deleting of the property from the urban renewal area.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Pursuant,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Next, I'm going to move to item B under the urban renewal area. Here I need a motion to approve an ordinance deleting the property from the tax increment financing district of the Independence Urban Renewal Area for the City of Independence, Iowa pursuant to Code Section 403.19 of the Iowa Code. This is a first consideration, so I need the motion first.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, this is a roll call vote.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Pursuant,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Next, I need a motion that the statutory rule which requires an ordinance to be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to that meeting at which it's finally passed to be suspended. So in other words, rather than having this come up 3 different times, we want to do it all at one time here. That's based on what our council's telling us we need to do. So first, I need that motion.
I would make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, this is a roll call vote.
Pursuant,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Okay, that also passes 7-0. So next, I need a motion to approve an ordinance deleting the property from the tax increment financing district for the independent urban renewal area of the City of Independence, Iowa, pursuant to Code Section 403.19 of the Code of Iowa for final consideration and adoption. So what we did in the prior one, we agreed that we were going to have it in one hearing. Now you're having that hearing to approve it. So this, again, this is a roll call vote.
I need a motion.
So
Oh,
moved.
sorry, I need a motion first. I apologize.
Got the motion.
Don, did you
Motion.
say? Did you make the motion?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Pursuant.
Yes.
Okay, so that passes 7-0. Next, we're going to move to the resolutions setting a public hearing on the designation of an expanded Independence urban renewal area and on the urban renewal plan amendment. So I'm looking for a motion to approve a resolution that sets October 24th, 2022 at 5 p.m. for a public hearing on the designation of the expanded Independence urban renewal area and on the the urban renewal plan amendment.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Should I have discussion on this first?
How
It's-
far are
it's-
we extending it? To the north or?
So basically, we're just gonna add in Tyler's property and then where this gymnastics studio, so just those two little parcels.
Okay, everybody all right with that? So then I need a roll call vote on that?
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Pursuant,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0. Next, we'll move to hearings and ordinances. The first is to set a public hearing for ordinance section 105.12 parentheses 1, which is the city brush dump and county recycling facility. Need a motion to set a date of October the 10th of 2022 at 5 p.m. for a public hearing for an amendment to the code section 105.12 parentheses 1, end of parentheses, city brush dump and county recycling facility. The reason we need the motion is because the ordinance itself has southeast instead of southwest, so we need to change that. So that's the purpose of this hearing. So first, I need the motion.
So moved.
Second.
And that's the only thing that's for, is just the,
Correct, we're just making
Yeah.
we're making a typographical correction.
I wish it would be that easy, but no, we
Yeah.
have to do the process.
Excuse me, but it is on 6th Avenue Southwest. You say,
But in
Right,
the book,
in the book it says southeast.
okay, now I understand. Okay.
Okay, so did I get the motion first?
Yes, I have a motion and a second. We just need all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, we move to item B, which is Code Section 5202, mowing of properties exemptions. This is our first reading.
This is where we add.
Okay. So this is a motion to receive and file proof of publication of a notice of public hearing for Code Section 5202, mowing of property exemptions. First, I need a motion. I have a motion and a second. This is just regular. Okay, so anyway, the purpose of this is to just to add the word annually in there, which we talked about previously. So, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, I need a motion to hold the public hearing with respect to that. So I need a motion first. I have a motion and a second. All in favor of moving to a public hearing?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That passes 7-0. Is there any public comment or hearing or other information with respect to this particular change to the city ordinance? And you have nothing in writing, I take it? So
I did not receive anything.
next, we'll move to a motion to close the hearing and to receive and file any oral or written comments.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. That would be all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That passes 7-0. Now, do you want me to do the optional here, or just?
No, you have to approve the first reading.
Okay. So next, I need a motion to approve the first reading. That would be, well, first I need the motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Now, this is a roll call vote with respect to the first reading only.
Callahan? Yes. Houston?
What are we voting on now?
You're voting
first
on the first
reading
reading of the change to the mowing of properties exemption, where we're making it annual.
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
Crusader?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so the first optional would be a motion that the statutory rule requiring that an ordinance be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which it's finally passed be suspended. This can only be approved based upon it. Okay.
I'll wait a second.
But first, I need the motion, if anybody wants to make a motion that this first reading is sufficient and we don't need 2 further meetings to talk about the adding of the annually. I have a motion and I have a second. Okay, we need any discussion on that?
You're just adding the word annually to it,
Yes,
Yeah.
and
correct.
there's probably not going to be a whole lot of, I mean, that's what we all decided.
Correct. And we just want to make sure that what we're doing with this motion, though, is we're changing our procedural rules, and instead of having this come up 3 times before it's actually finalized, we're going to do it all tonight, if that's okay with everybody. So if it's okay, we'll have a roll call vote.
Houston?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
Crusader?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0. Okay, so now, so next I need a motion to have this same ordinance amendment to Code Section 5202 placed in its final passage for adoption pursuant to Iowa Code Section 380.3. What we're doing here is we've now agreed that we're going to only do it in one session, which is tonight, but we actually have to adopt the amendment at this time. So I need a motion to do that. And I need a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, this is a roll call vote to do this. And once this is done, that part annually will then be part of the ordinance for the city. Okay?
Hannah?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
Crusader?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Houston?
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Next, we're moving to the Code Section 1.15, Fines and Fees Schedule. This is the third and final reading. I need a motion to approve the third and final passage for the amendment to Code Section 1.15, Fines and Fees Schedule, adoption pursuant to Iowa Code Section 380.3.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. If you recall, this is the fees for the peddlers and solicitors licensing. So if I've got a motion and a second, this would then be a roll call vote.
Kurtz?
Yes.
Crusader?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Callahan? Houston?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Next, we move to item D, which is Code Section 5203, Mowing of Properties Definition. This is the third and final reading. If you recall, we, in the prior hearings, we added the definitions of noxious weeds by referring to Iowa Code. So first, I need a motion to approve the third and final passage for the amendment to Code Section 52.03, Mowing of Properties Definitions for adoption pursuant to Iowa Code Section 380.3.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Crusader?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Houston?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Next, we move to item E, which is Code Section 41.14, parentheses 3, end of parentheses, which is fireworks sale regulations. This is, again, the third and final reading. I need a motion to approve a third and final passage for the amendment of Code Section 41.14, paren 3, end of paren, fireworks sale regulations for adoption pursuant to Iowa Code Section 380.3.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. This is where we catch up with the legislation itself so that our rules are consistent with the state of Iowa legislation. So if there's any further discussion on that,
I still think it's hypocritical that we are able to sell fireworks within the city limits and then not be able to set them off.
understood. This would be a roll call vote again.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
No,
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
Passes 6-1. Next one, I move to resolutions. The first is a resolution to approve the acquisition of real estate consistent with the letter of intent to donate and to authorize the mayor to execute the letter of intent to donate. First, I need that motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Dawn Vogel's here tonight in case anybody has any questions about this, but her and Larry Thompson were good enough to agree to donate the movie theater out there on Swan Lake to the city. The city is then going to accept the gift, assumingly that you vote on that, and then it's our intention to enter into some type of an agreement with Kidsville in order to try to help solve some of our childcare problems that we have with respect to the City of Independence. But what all you're voting on at this time is just to approve the resolution, which is just accepting this gift that that Larry Thompson through Don Vogel is giving to the City of Independence. So first did I get that motion yet?
We have a motion.
Okay, I have a
and
motion. This
second.
is a roll call vote.
Jensen,
Yes.
Okay, you need some discussion on this first?
yeah,
Okay, sure.
go ahead, Jeff.
Why would you just not give this to Kidsville? That's who's going to have the building.
Well, the reason that they can't do it that way, I can tell you, is a matter of legality. First, they are a 501c corporation, so that's not the problem in terms of the tax problem, although that didn't work out so well for the tourism, thank you. The problem is when we try to assist them by having the grants that were necessary in order to provide for the renovations that need to be made, the grants can't be made in the name of the facility itself. It has to be brought in the name of an employer. By the city being the one that owns the property, we're using the grant money, we're using the money that we have from the acquisition, so the value of the property, which is, we're going to find out exactly, but it's approximately $600,000. So we're going to have the $600,000 asset that the city can use as the matching for the grant. They would be unable to do that themselves because they don't have, they may own the property, but they wouldn't be able to get the grants in order to do the refurnishings on it. But we're not voting on whether or not to approve any agreement between us, the city, and Kidsville or anyone else. All you're voting on now is they're offering a gift to the city, and the question is, are we going to accept it or are we not? It doesn't have anything to do with what we ultimately do with it, although we're telling you what we intend to do or what we intend to bring forward to the council that we're trying to propose to do. But this is not the actual decision with respect to how we do that or anything else. This is just the gift itself.
Okay, so what happens if the Kidsville grant doesn't go through
There's,
and we're left with the property?
well, we have a $600,000 piece of property that we could do anything we wanted to with it. We could choose to go in another direction in terms of what else we want to put in there. We could choose to sell it. We could choose to build office buildings ourselves and then sell the entire complex. There's lots of things we could do with it. I don't think that's going to be an issue. We're currently, I spent time on the phone today with the grant writer working on how we're going to structure the grant. We've got the majority of the large businesses, over 75 employees, already on board with us in terms of participating in the grant process itself and participating in trying to find additional, the whole grant process is based on slots for childcare. And in order to prove the need for slots, it doesn't matter that that Kidsville has 145 slots and that they're all full and that they've got 80 on the waiting list. What matters is what does the employers need in our town, in our city, in terms of spaces for their employees. So that's how we'll be doing the grant, and we'll be doing it as a coalition between ourselves, the hospital, the school district, PREs, and several other ones that have already indicated a willingness to do so. And by the time we're done, we hope to have at least 8 participants in terms of major employers in the city. They're all participating with us with respect to this. But in answer to your question, I don't anticipate it being a problem at all doing this, and I anticipate Kidsville being able to do this, and they've got some cash of their own as well, so it's not like they have to rely exclusively on the grants for improvements, but it certainly makes it easier when you get grant money. The current grant cycle, the reason we're pushing this along is October 17th, so we're trying to get a grant that's prepared by October 17th so that we can have this in line to hopefully qualify for that, so that we could start the improvements sometime the total time to have the improvements done is going to be approximately 1 year from the time that we start.
There's a lot of funding out there for early childhood.
So
Really.
when it's given to Kidsville to use and Mosier or their daycare says, hey, I'd like the city to acquire a piece of property rent-free that I can use.
Talked to Mosier about it already. The problem, we can't do this with Mosier because they're not a nonprofit, they're a for-profit. We've talked about the possibility that once it reaches we talked about the possibility that once Kidsville moves out of their current location, that Mosier may be able to do something with that particular property, and we would work to accomplish that for them, just like we've worked here to do this same way.
I think anything we can do for our businesses in our community to help the workers in our community is a plus for our community. 'Cause I know that's a big problem for a lot of people is affordable daycare. And I know when our kids were younger, trying to get them to preschool and work, and it was a big hassle.
I think also some of the discussion that I've heard too, some of the discussion that I've heard as well from different people in town over the last couple of days is, well, what are we going to do? We're going to be losing city taxes for that. I think that we're kind of trading that for some of the childcare, trying to improve that over those taxes being lost.
Right. You know, when we talked about the taxes, yes, it's probably close to $20,000 that we might be losing in taxes. But you're trying to weigh the amount of taxes versus a child and whether we can get proper child care for these children or not. And I personally, if I had a vote, I can tell you you'd know how I'd vote on it. So
Have we toured I'm sorry, John. Have we toured the facility
we have.
recently just to make sure that it's still structurally?
Absolutely, and it's great. Dawn took us on a tour. I had the person from the director of Kidsville with me. I also had Lisa Kramer with me, and I also had the architect, Dan Levi, who would be the one that would be involved in the project as well, because Mr. Levi and his group, even though he's an architect by trade, and that's what he does for a living, he specializes in these issues in terms of child care facilities, and he's been his office has been one of the leaders in the child care construction of buildings and complying with the codes that are necessary that the state requires in eastern Iowa and maybe even the majority of Iowa itself. So we've got the best person online, and then they've referred us to a grant writer who they've been very successful with in the past, and we've had a Zoom call with the grant writer today trying to figure out exactly what data we need in order to do this. So we're going to do it right, that's for sure.
Thank you.
I think it's a wonderful opportunity for our
There's
community.
really no windows in that building to speak of, is there?
There are some, but they're not enough, and that's part of the reconstruction that would be necessary.
I was a little worried about the floors, but it's my understanding that those would be easily
Yeah,
accommodated.
you're absolutely right. The building was originally built by Larson. Thank you, by Larson. And I talked to Doug Larson specifically about it. And when they built the slope for itself, they created a styrofoam sand pillar. And that's what they used to build it up. And Doug said that it would be very easy to remove those and to flatten the floor out. So that's not going to be a major expense in the remodeling at all. The major expense is going to be the need for windows and the need to make sure that we've got it set up the way that the state requires it. Eventually what will happen is we'll have a center hallway that'll go down the middle, and we'll have classrooms on both sides as we run all the way out to the end of the building. We'll have the older kids on the southernmost part of the building, and the younger kids on the northern part. We'll probably have an outdoor playground on the south side of the building itself, because the building will act as some shade as well as protection from the wind on that side. It's likely that we may be adding another building in the front of it as well, because the building itself is about 9,000 square feet. And in order to get the number of kids that we're going to need to do this, we'll be adding on, and that's part of the cost of the remodel.
Who
But
pays for all that?
remodeling's all going to be paid for by either Kidsville, or it's going to be paid for by the grants. There's no money at all that's going to come from the city on this project, other than, the time that we spend in participation in the preparation of the grants, and the dealing with contractors and that sort of thing, but no cash outlay by the city involved, just our goodwill.
I think it's a wonderful idea.
I think it's a great opportunity for employment in the community, because affordable childcare is probably one of the biggest detriments to people going out and getting employment right now and finding good childcare. So this could really help the growth of independence.
When you have, what'd you say, a waiting list of 80 kids?
They currently have 80, Mosher's got 40 on theirs, so. Now, there could be some overlap between the two of them. We haven't checked the list itself, but we did talk to, by the way, Mosher, Candy Mosher did attend our meeting that we had about this.
And you had city leaders from the various companies, is that
We-
what I heard?
We did. We had, I think, MHI was there, Wapsie Valley Creamery was there, the school district was there, hospital was there, Priest was there. I think that the only one that wasn't there, because they had other business meetings, was Gator, and they had told us they couldn't make it on that date because they had other obligations. And I've also reached out to the Walmart people to also involve them in it, and they have a new manager coming in, and I'll speak to them as soon as the new manager is up to speed in terms of what's going on. So we're trying to hit everybody.
Was there any negatives that came from that meeting?
There was none.
What was the downfall since tourists didn't want the building?
Sure, Don, come on up. You're welcome to tell them about that.
What happened with Buchanan County Tourism, so when we got to the building, we were under the assumption that it would be taken off the tax rolls, that we would not have to pay taxes on it. And March of last year, we were told that no, since we were going to sell the building for profit, even though all of the money would be used to further tourism and to, what tourism wanted to do, that we would have to pay taxes. And we, quite frankly, we have a shoestring budget and we could not afford that. So we went to the previous owner, and he very generously made us whole. So anything that we had spent out, he paid, because he said that he would have had to have that building anyway, until the point that it sold. So, in the meantime, I had reached out to several people, Marcus Theaters and several other theaters, because it was my dream to actually keep a theater in Independence, because I know people are screaming about a theater. And Marcus was not interested. There was another place, gentleman that was interested, very interested, and he has a theater, but it was just not the right time for him, so.
She was good enough to talk to us.
That's where we're at now.
Thank you.
And I think it's very generous of Mr. Thompson to make this offer to the city. It's
Very
awesome.
I
generous.
think so. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for our citizens. I just remember what it was like as a working parent trying to find daycare and.
Well, he obviously hasn't been able to sell it.
I'm sorry.
Obviously hasn't been able to sell it. He has sold it because
Right.
this is going to be a tax write-off for him. And I think you got to go back to the old saying that nothing's for free. There's going to be costs somewhere down the road with it.
But it's not going to be to the city.
Right.
Parking lots, not in the greatest shape.
Well,
Parking
we
lot's
like-
actually in very good shape
Yeah.
relatively compared to other ones that we've looked at.
Yeah, and he has taken care of like all of the heating and the overhead heating or whatever those are. So, yeah, he's kept those and maintained those, and we've kept it heated, so there was no peeling paint or mold problems or any issues like that.
Okay,
Thanks, Don.
thanks, Don, appreciate it. Okay, so we've got them, is there any further discussion? I'm sorry.
Tom, did you get your questions answered?
What's that?
Did you get your question answered?
Okay,
Thank
so.
you, Catherine.
You're welcome. I just
So
couldn't
the-
remember what it was, so I wanted to ask.
So this is a roll call vote.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes,
Hannah,
Mixed emotions, yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Prusiner,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Dawn, thank you so much, and would you please tell Larry again how much we appreciate it?
Thank you.
Next, we'll move to item B, which is the engineering services agreement. This is the 5-year street improvement prioritization program. First, I need a motion to approve the engineering agreement with Crawford Engineering for a 5-year street improvement prioritization program.
So moved. Second?
I have a motion and a second. Prior to this meeting, I met with Brad Esch, our department head for streets, and I also went over and met with Mark and Brian Crawford. I wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page, that our street people know better than anybody else what streets have problems and which ones should be prioritized. And I want to make sure that as we develop this plan, even though we need Crawford Engineering to do it because of the grants and the various things that they can help us with, I want to rely upon our people to make these decisions, and that's why I wanted to make sure that we got it spelled out up front. The other thing I wanted to make sure is that we always have a 5-year plan in effect. In other words, when we finish year 1, we add year 6, so we always have 5 years, because the important thing about these types of projects, as I'm sure Mark can attest to, is a lot of the times the grant cycle is not exactly year to year. Sometimes it's every 3 years. And if we're in a position where we've only got a 5-year plan and it's going to run out, there are grants that we did not have the opportunity to take. And that's why it's important that we do a running 5-year cycle as well. Any other comment or?
I do have a question, and maybe you could answer it. I know that there were some complaints with the 5th year, I think it was, of the last plan that we had, and it had to do with that the road didn't look that bad. But then in hearing about it later, it had more to do with underlying issues. Could you speak to that a little bit?
We're going to talk about this at the committee of the whole meeting
Okay.
on next Monday, because
Okay.
it's important that we all talk about the issue. It has to do with the funding for the roads, and it also had to do with some water complaints that these people had.
That's
And the
right.
people were concerned about just paving the road without doing something with the infrastructure first. So I don't mean to steal your thunder there,
No,
Mark.
that's exactly what I was,
Gonna say, okay,
Yep.
so
Yep.
that is part of that whole.
that's correct.
So
idea.
we're up to speed on it, but we wanted this on the agenda for the committee of the whole, because it's something we all need to talk about. We need to make sure how we're going to do this going forward, and I thought that was a better place of doing it than here.
Okay.
I think it's
And I
a-
just think, oh,
Go ahead.
sorry.
No, good.
My comment was, and don't forget what you're going to say, my comment was, I just think we need to do a better job of getting that out to the public, because I think that was a big problem.
That's right. May I answer
Yeah.
first? The other thing that it's important on the reason why a rolling 5-year plan is appropriate is because there's people that don't show up on the first couple of years in terms of their streets. And if they can see as another year pops up, there's their street. It's a better way for them to understand what we're trying to do, and that we're not just looking at particular streets in particular areas. We're trying to get to the ones, but we're trying to prioritize. And the other thing is as Mark can probably tell us as well, is some of the times we're looking to just make repairs or
Overlay.
yeah, and then sometimes we got an entire section that needs to be replaced. We've got an entire section that needs to be replaced. It's going to take up much more time and much more of our budget money. But we need, and so the prioritization is necessary, but it's also necessary when we're doing, to look at which streets, can we do parcels on versus which streets do we need the entire street done? And I think that's something that our street people and the Crawfords need to, work together on and balance it out, right? Mark, am I missing something? Oh, sorry, you got?
I was just going to say, I think the big improvement in this 5-year plan is involving the street department in it, because they have to travel those streets, especially in the wintertime when they're having to plow snow. They know which ones are really bad, so you guys working together, I think, will really make a big difference.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we've done with, former street and public works directors, Mr. Donnelly, and when Todd was in that position, and we bring them in ahead of making the final decision as to which set of streets are going to be that project, to hear those concerns that they've had or those things that have developed, particularly over a plowing season, to make sure that, we are addressing the worst of the worst.
And Mark, another thing that you and I had talked about is if you get into the project itself and you're on a particular street and you're finding that there's something that we didn't know existed or was going to be as big a problem as it is, you're going to talk to the streets people about that, because it could be that there's a similar issue that's on the same street in another area, or something else that they know about because of the fact that they've got the experience with it that, you don't have the day-to-day experience in terms of, like they do, in terms of having to maintain those streets.
Yep, that's correct.
Well, I'm sure some of the detour routes from this year will probably
Yeah.
be rising up on the priority list.
I told Mark I wanted him to find me some grant somewhere to fix the streets after we
Destroyed them.
destroyed them for the detour. And so far, we haven't been able to find anything other than the good old state of Iowa coming forward and giving us money. But any other questions on that?
One question, do we have any other engineers that were interested in bidding this at all?
It wouldn't be something that we would bid on a process like this, so no, we did not do that. This is something that, by the nature of what we're talking about, they're repeating what they've done over the last 5 years. To have somebody new come in that's not familiar with it, I'm sure we could do that, but I don't think it's in the best interest of the city, honestly. I think the best way to do this is to maintain that status quo with the understanding that it's our people that need to make decisions on
Every once
things.
in a while, I just hear citizens bring that up, so.
No, I appreciate that, and it certainly was considered, but I'm confident that they can do what we need them to do for less
Well,
money.
it's great they're local and
Right.
pretty much Johnny on the spot.
Any other discussion on that, then?
Pretty much, Mark. It's pretty much.
Pretty much, okay. That's pretty good.
You actually don't have any Johnnies, do you?
No, Mark on the spot is fine.
So this is a roll call vote, then?
Callahan?
Yes.
Houston?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes for John.
Kurtz?
Yes.
Pursuant?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Thank you, Mark. Okay, next we move to other business. The first is a tobacco violation affirmative defense order. So first, I need a motion to approve the affirmative defense order for Hy-Vee Dollar Fresh from a tobacco violation of Iowa Code Section 453A.2, parentheses 1, end of parentheses.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so what this is this is a settlement agreement. There's a sale of tobacco to a minor, and the code section allows that when you have a sale to a minor, you're allowed one free pass, in other words, so you're getting affirmative defense that you're allowed to have, but you're only allowed for that to happen one time over a 4-year time period. So we're using this as a settlement agreement with them for this purpose. So that's what this is all about. Any further
Is
discussion?
that for one person or one business?
This is for one business. It was a particular person at a particular business, so it's one person
So that
at one business.
Business couldn't have this again for at least 4 years.
That's correct, because it's the business that's cited, not the
Person.
not the person. Well, the person can be cited too, but in this particular case, it's the business that was cited. Further discussion? Okay, again, this is it's not a roll call vote, right? No. Okay, so this is all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 7-0. The next is item B on other business. This is the Spargrave Development Agreement Addendum. I need a motion to approve an addendum to the,
Second.
what we're doing here is, this is the building above Hardig Drug. And previously, in March, this council approved an extension. But when they approved the extension, we didn't get the actual signed agreement done that we needed to get done. So I walked the property with Todd and with him, and he's got a lot of work to do still. So previously, city manager had given him to December in order to get it done, so we selected a date of December the 23rd of 2022. So what we're looking to do with the approval of this addendum is to give him the additional time to December 23rd of 2022 in order to complete the work, with the understanding that if the work's not completed, he doesn't get the grant money, he loses it. So Hopefully, this is enough of an incentive to continue to work with him to get this done. So,
And no more extensions on this, is that correct?
well, there shouldn't be any more extensions by us. The state of Iowa has actually given him a little bit more time than that. So we could probably give him a very short thing if we absolutely had to, but I'd sure be against it. He's got to have made tremendous progress and just be in the final touches that are necessary, because not only does he have some inside work, but he also has some outside work. And I'm going to start getting concerned when we get into the winter months where he's going to be able to get it done as quickly as he thinks he's going to be able to get it done.
They're gun-ho and work like crazy, then all of a sudden they're just gone for a long, extended period.
He talked about the possibility of bringing in 3 separate independent contracting crews in order to get the drywalling work done. So we'll see how motivated he is, knowing that he could lose a substantial amount of money in this if he doesn't.
That's what we're waiting for, is just putting the walls and all the other stuff
Oh,
up there.
you know,
There hasn't been anybody in there for.
No, there really hasn't been. Where he's done is he's done the majority of the tear out.
Right.
He's done a little bit of the plumbing, but the rough electrical hasn't been done. None of the drywalling work has been done. None of the flooring work's been done. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to be done, and giving him all of October, all of November, and most of December, it may cut it close. But he thinks. I mean, these are big units too, by the way. We're talking about he's got 4 3-bedroom apartments up there, if I'm not mistaken, plus a 2-bedroom and an efficiency, I believe, is what he has. But I mean, it's a lot of space and it's a lot of work, and he's got his hands full. But
That was a $600,000 grant, was it?
I believe that's.
It was, yeah, it was almost
It was
$750,000.
I think so. I'd have to double check what
You know what?
the
I think-
state did it with him.
Actually, I don't think that's true. I think he only has 7 units, so he only gets the 300,000. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
it's
Hardware Hank has-
Hardware Hank has the
Yes.
larger one.
Okay,
Right.
Right.
that's what I'm thinking of.
Okay, so any further discussion on that? This is a roll call vote also.
So he thinks
Oh,
he
sorry.
can get it?
He does.
Okay.
He does.
Deadline.
He acted confident. All right,
Gotta
so,
get working,
I know. Roll call vote, please.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Brushader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Next, we move to item C, which is water waste farm lease. I need a motion to approve a water wastewater farm lease. I believe the top bid was two-
270 an acre.
227 is what I had.
Oh, okay.
$227 per acre, and he's got 23 acres. So,
Oh,
So moved.
good.
is there a
I
second?
thought there was one for 270.
I
I
did
think
too.
that's.
I thought there was
that
Did I get the wrong one?
When you said 227, I thought maybe I read it back.
That was the low one. 70 was the high.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's get the right one.
Yeah, there
I thought it
is
was
one for 270 per acre.
Yep.
Well, then that would be the correct one, so let's
I
go
would
back.
make a bid for that one, or make that.
The 270 per acre? Okay.
So we'll modify the motion. Does the moving party and the second both agree to the modification to 270? And is that then seconded?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion with regard to that? This is not a roll call vote, so
Yes,
it's.
it is.
Oh, it is a roll call vote. I'm sorry. Roll call vote then, please.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Brushader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
That passes 7-0 then. Next is the item D, which is the Independence Facade Project Change Order Number 11. This is a motion to approve Change Order Number 11, which is no contract cost change for the Independence Facade Project. Do I have the motion first?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Basically, what this is that he has a contingency that's part of the project itself, and this money is coming out of the contingency. It's not being charged to the overall project. It's part of what was held back, and it involves some sidewalk work that has to be done this winter before it gets cold and we end up with more cracks and problems in the lower part of the building itself. So, any further discussion on that? Okay, that's a roll call vote again.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Brushader.
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
It's approved 7-0. Next, we move to item E, which is the Highway 150 Reconstruction Change Order Number 3. First, I need a motion to approve change order number 3 for the Highway 150 reconstruction project in the amount of $122,444.60.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. What this is, and again, Mark, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but when they started out the project, they bid it with a certain type of materials involving the piping. As they got into the project itself, that they discovered that there was some petroleum there, whether it was from, we don't know the source of the petroleum. Could have been a gas station, could have been anything else. But when you have petroleum involved in the process, you cannot use the same type of piping. So it's necessary to change the piping, and that wasn't something that was originally contemplated, so that's why there's this change order. How did I get close to it?
Yep, that's excellent synopsis. So the potential petroleum that we thought we ran into required the use of a different type of pipe. And so the pipe, that new pipe and those new fittings and the gasketing that goes along with that is what is reflected in this change order. Now, I will let you know that because the other type of pipe, the PVC pipe, is not going to be used, so that cost that was included in the project will not be incurred. So really, the net increase in the project is only about $52,000.
That sounds better.
And all underground construction work has currently been done with respect to the I-150 project, right?
Correct.
So it's just the paving left and the curbs and gutters and?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Yay.
Why don't we see that change on here?
Well, so the PVC pipe, some of it has been used. We had, let's just say we had 1,000 feet of pipe, of PVC pipe on the project, and we used 750 feet of it. When you'll see that deduct is in the final change order of the project, when the project is fully complete, and we start going over the items that overran and the items that underran. Well, the PVC pipe will be one of those items that underran by, in my example, 250 feet. So that savings is what you'll see at the end of the project. We can't take it out of the project right now because, that happens at the end, basically.
Mark, would it be the holdback money that we're not paying as part of the monthlies, the regulars, and then when we get to that point, they would credit it off of that number, so we wouldn't know as much on the final payment?
Nope, the retainage is completely different.
Okay.
The retainage is just a statutory amount that needs to be withheld to make sure the contractor has dotted their i's and crossed their t's on all their paperwork and testing and things like that.
Right, no, but I guess my question was, when we get to that point, if they owe us money back on the project because of the differential in price, we wouldn't have to pay as much of the 10% back, or the holdback, right?
There won't be any money that they have to repay us because it's PVC pipe that we did not put in the ground.
Right.
So it's just quantity and cost that the city doesn't incur for that particular item.
Yeah, I'm still not seeing where we get the money back, though.
You don't necessarily get it back, but you see a net savings. So instead of spending all of the money for in my example, 1,000 feet of PVC pipe, you're spending 750 feet of it, so there's a savings of 250 feet that it just goes unused, and this additional 122,000. So when you do the pluses and minuses, it works out to a net increase for just the material change due to the potential petroleum of $52,000.
We gotta dot our i's and cross our t's and make sure we get that.
We haven't
Yep.
paid the entire bill, I take it.
No,
No.
No, we won't.
No.
That's
So
what,
it'll
I'm
all
just trying to figure out where we get the credit back at.
We have good engineers.
We'll let
and
Susie figure it out, make sure it's all right.
They do all that work and make sure
Okay.
stuff's accounted for right, and then I
And then
just throw it on the
yep.
agenda.
And then we coordinate with Susie that she gets the right amount reimbursed.
Okay.
Then double check it before we okay it, right?
Thanks, Mark.
Yep.
Okay, so then I need a roll call vote on this change order approval.
Pursuant,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan. Yes. Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes,
Kurtz.
Yes.
Okay, item F is the Liberty Trail South Extension Project time extension request. Extension project time extension request, got it, okay. So this is a motion to extend the project completion date. It was supposed to be completed by October 1st to October the 17th for this Liberty Trail South Extension project.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. So what happened here is the flashing warning sign that's supposed to be placed on the roadway hadn't come in yet. So we can't complete the project without it. So what we were doing is we're putting a temporary one up in its place until we can get it, and they think they can have it all done. The materials will come in by October 17th, and that's why we're using that date. Is that?
That's correct. So
See, I
very-
should just stand up and,
Yes, you should. It's very similar to the advanced warning and flashing pedestrian crossing signal that you see on the 6th Avenue Southwest Trail. There's one of those to be installed on Bland Boulevard for the Liberty Trail crossing at that location. And components of that electrical system are on back order or haven't come in yet. And so the contractor has assured us that the remaining items on the trail will be done by the original completion date of October 1st, but because there's a material delay, that he would like an extension until the 17th for this particular item.
It's better than the library flashings.
Is the concrete, are those cracks repaired sufficiently?
Those cracks are repaired. Their tar kettle should be in this week to get all those sealed.
Wondered.
Yep.
okay. So I need a roll call vote with regard to the extending the completion date to October 17th.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. G, engineer update. You got any
Okay.
update beyond what you've already told us all?
So the only other additional information that I haven't shared with you is that the paving of the east half of the remaining 2 blocks is set to begin this week, probably Thursday or Friday. And then they will come back in subsequent weeks to get the west half done. Signal installation, sidewalks, and driveways will then follow up that, and that should be the buttoning up of that project.
Cool.
Sounds good to me.
Any questions?
Great work.
And there's a lot less landscaping in that part.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the item number 9, which is the city manager search.
And I have Brent.
Brent, do you want to give us an update on where we are? Or do you want me to start, or what was your?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as far as an update, as council's aware, we've reached terms essentially with a preferred candidate for this position.
Yellow.
I think it froze.
I think I lost him. He's froze.
Okay, so,
But we heard the good part.
well, we've reached an agreement with
He's a
regard.
contractor for a national company, and basically that company has taken a hit in their stock price. He's had to make some concessions as far as the bank goes for the purchasing party. So I think that my understanding of this is that he's kind of gone to the extent that he possibly can to make sure that that sale goes through. Very interested in the position. My recommendation at this point in time would be, it's not very satisfying, but I think to just kind of give this another week to play out, and then we can re-examine at that time what we want to do. You know, really, we're getting to the point, I think, where the city certainly can't wait too long, but I do think it is worth it based on the information that I'm receiving and the continuing communication with the candidate. That I think it's very much worth the city's time to give it another week. But then certainly there comes a point where we're just going to have to move on in the search. But I don't think we're quite there yet. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
So if you didn't hear, Brent, you cut out for part of it. So what he was saying is that he had a business that he had to sell. And because of the stock price on FedEx going down so significantly, he wasn't able to get the transaction completed. And he's part of from the very beginning when he talked to us, he said that he had to get this sold before he could actually move and come back here for the job. So we're waiting for that transaction to come through, and they've had the closing date twice already, and it hasn't closed on those days. So we're all very hopeful that it's going to happen, and I think that's pretty much it. So unless the council itself wants to entertain a motion to move forward with, the search or do something else, then I think that we just sit tight and give them the extra week. Hopefully that'll be enough time to get it done, and is there anybody that disagrees with that and and wants to take some other type of action now?
Does he realize he's only got a week and they're wanting an answer?
Well, he realizes we want the answer as soon as we possibly can. I mean, the reality of the situation is, let's say that we voted to move forward with the search, and we would start the process from where we left off, and we'd be trying to get the candidates together, and instead of having our interviews in mid-October, which is what was originally scheduled, we'd be having them in late October. The likelihood is by that time, everything would have come around, and he would have sold it, and he'd be back in the hunt. And then the question is, are we going to interview the other people, or are we going to go with the contract we already have? So I think we give him another week, and then we see where it is, and then we can talk about it at that time. I don't know that we want to make a firm commitment that it's going to be 1 week only, but I think we want to see some progress, and we certainly want to be kept up to date, and they've been doing that. It's not like they're hiding from us. We have regular updates that we're getting all the time.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think I would have a different feeling on this if it was, well, we had this business sale, and, I'm not budging an inch, and the price is the price. Very much not what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing is that the candidate's doing everything he can to get the business sale closed, and including making some significant concessions. Definitely is very, very interested in the independent's position and coming to your community and being your city manager. So I think that it is something that, again, the city shouldn't have unlimited patience for this. But I think, an additional week, we're hearing the right things, and I think he's trying to do all the right things to bring this to a conclusion.
Okay. Anybody disagree and want to do something differently at this moment in
And
time?
he was okay with the contract that we offered.
He's,
everything with it.
not a single change. He's willing to, as we gave it, he's willing to sign it.
I'm okay with the wait.
Okay. Brett, we're going to go ahead and wait. Let's hopefully a week does it. Keep us posted.
Yeah, we'll keep you. I'll keep the mayor and Susie abreast of any changes, and then hopefully we'll be able to reconvene and get the deal done. I think that we'll get things ready. If I'm not hearing anything by later in the week, I'll start sketching together a position profile and the advertising plan and all that good stuff. I don't want to do that too early because I don't want to have the City of Independence incur any costs for those services until we know we're going to possibly need them.
Okay. Yeah, we'd probably have to have a closed session of the Committee of the Whole meeting next Monday, because that wouldn't be a regular notice meeting for us, or a regular council meeting for us.
Absolutely, and that's what I'd anticipate. If really we'll be at your Committee of the Whole meeting. Let's do another status update at a bare minimum, but hopefully that'll be something that we'd be able to have a special item on there. So I'll just keep the mayor and Susie abreast of things, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you, Brent.
Mr. Mayor,
Thanks, everybody.
do we need to make any motion or anything?
We don't have to make a motion at this point. We just leave it as it is.
Thank you.
Okay, so council member, we're moving to reports. Council members, anybody? Jan, you have anything?
Just to remind everybody that Thursday night's the wine and chocolate walk downtown, so support the businesses.
And all the gentlemen are meeting at Allerton.
Right. Whatever it takes.
Tom, did you have something?
All is well.
Good.
Nothing.
Nothing for you, Deb? John?
I have nothing, thank you.
Sir?
Good, Mayor, thank you.
Mike?
I have a request from some constituents in the 3rd Ward to have the no parking on Bland Boulevard on the south side of the street.
Okay. Mark, do you know what he's talking about?
I know there's been some discussion on parking in different areas of Bland Boulevard.
Is there, do we have no parking in a particular area of
The yellow-
land currently?
Yellow line, yeah, just as you cross.
Mark, do you want to take a look at that and let us know what you think about that? I just want to make sure there's not an engineering reason why we wouldn't want to do that in terms of sight line or something like that. Anything else, Mike?
Yes, you do.
Don't have anything right now.
Okay, Susie, you want to do yours first, or you want me to?
I do need Code of Ordinance books from Mayor, Councilmember Kurtz, Pursuant, O'Laughlin, and Hannah. If you want to wait until the ones that were passed tonight get published, then I can do everything.
Yeah, I'll do that then.
And then I will be out of the office Wednesday afternoon, all day Thursday and Friday morning for the Iowa League of Cities Conference in Waterloo. But you can still email me and I'll get back to you.
So you're gonna do some more updating, Susie?
Hopefully not. You mean the code books? Yep, for any that have their books here, I'll go ahead and do it when they come in, so.
Okay, I have a couple of items. Kelly, do you want to stand up, please? This is Kelly Walton. She's the director of Kidsville. So earlier tonight, Kelly, the council voted to approve the property itself. So we'll be moving forward with you in terms of starting the process for once we have the property. But I want to get Dan in there as soon as possible to work with you to try to figure out if we can get a cost idea so we know what we're talking about in terms of how much money we really need to raise in terms of grants and donations or whatever else we're going to have. And I don't know if you have any questions of council or if you need anything else from us, but I really appreciate you working with us, and we're trying to do what we can to solve the problem.
I think right now, I think Dan will have the majority of the information at the end of that cost analysis and then those grants.
Sure.
That'd be amazing.
Thank you for coming tonight, Kelly.
Absolutely.
How much are the grants?
The original grant's $250,000, and like I said, it's matching, so it's actually a total of $500,000, but we only get half of it, so the other half, our half is coming from the money from the
Equity.
the equity from the property itself. So that's how we're doing that part. So with our 250 portion from the value of the property and then the 250 for the grant, that gives us the 250,000 to start the process itself at least, and then we've got some other ideas in the works, because there's another grant that's supposed to be coming out, we're hoping early in the year.
So the 250,000 is on the side of the city, not Kidsville, is that right?
Well, Kidsville's not putting up the 250 itself. Kidsville can't be the applicant on the grant, only the city can or another business. So the city, along with several other business owners as a coalition, will be the applicants on the grant for the benefit of Kidsville. Anything else for Kev?
It's not coming out of our budget.
It's not coming out, nothing's coming out. There's no capital outlay by the city for this project.
But there's benefit.
But there's benefit to the citizens or the residents, and, and if it's beneficial to them, it's beneficial to us.
So we see the breakdown of where the 250,000 is coming from?
250,000 will be coming from the state of Iowa. We don't put up money.
But our side,
No, they just look at it and they say that you've got equity.
Ours is coming out of the building. The 250,000 that we have to do comes from the equity of the building that we just agreed upon.
Right. Correct.
I think within the last year, the state of Iowa has given a lot of money out for childcare.
Oh, they're doing it.
And I think Fairbank got some and Jessup got some. So we have a good opportunity, I think.
Don, what was your comment?
Just, I don't want to quote a bunch of stats and stuff, but the state of Iowa currently says that there are 350,000 slots that they need filled for childcare. And that just tells you how bad it is for the state of Iowa, as well as most of the rest of the country, and we're just trying to do our part. Okay, a couple of other things. Citywide Trick-or-Treat, October 31st, 2022, from 5 to 7 p.m. It is a Monday night. So they'll all be coming here for our meeting.
All right.
We don't have a meeting on October 31st, just throwing that out there.
Second thing is that with
What was the hours, Brad?
5 to 7.
downtown again?
No, this will be,
5 to what?
we will not be doing the downtown the same way. That they might be doing something downtown, but it won't be the same as what they did a few years ago. It didn't work out from what I understand in terms of, it ended up being a lot more non-Independence kids that were here than Independence kids. And at least that's what I heard. That's the rumor.
So it's just the.
Right, regular trick-or-treat. There's other things that are happening, though. I just don't know the information on those, and we'll publish them when we can. Second thing, the Liberty Trail, now that it's finished, we're having a ribbon-cutting ceremony. It'll be on Wednesday, October the 5th. And Bob's widow will be cutting the ribbon, so if any of you can make it, that would be wonderful for you.
What time is that?
It'll take place at 9 o'clock in the morning
The Triangle Park.
at Triangle Park. And she's very excited about it. I talked to her myself. Second, last thing, I guess it is, the First Street West corridor and green space study. We had talked about what we were going to do about how to deal with the area on the First Street West, and we had actually talked about some ARPA money, as much as $100,000 for that particular project. We learned about a grant potential through Trees Forever and Community Visioning, which we applied for, and which we were approved on.
Awesome.
So,
That's fantastic.
so we will be starting that shortly with meetings and stuff. You and you are on the committee, as I recall, or on the
Okay.
steering committee, and they'll be using. It's Iowa State kids, though. I hope that's okay with the Iowa fans, but.
They're all Iowa kids.
So I'm not sure about the timing of starting on it, but we'll be working on that in the coming months, and got some ideas on that. We did get, I did get a chance to get the deeds on the 4 properties that were ones where we had fast food restaurants in the past, and they're very interesting in that there's nothing in there. One of them talks about the A&W, but it's just that you can't have another A&W within 5 miles of a city of Independence, so we don't care about that. The one from McDonald's doesn't mention anything at all in the part that I have, so I'm looking for another portion of it, and I've contacted the,
That family?
no, the records department to get, there's a couple, it makes reference to a lease agreement, and I'm wondering if there's something in the lease agreement that talks about it itself.
As far as a non-compete, Mayor?
As far as non-compete, right. And then, interestingly, and there was a, the Pizza Hut one is the strangest deed I've seen around, because it was just purchased, the property was just purchased in July of 2022 by another group, and they've got it for sale now. So I'm not sure exactly how that works out, but, there's nobody local on the deed anywhere around. I mean, you've got Scottsdale, Arizona, and you've got Delaware, and you've got, some other place. I mean, it's just odd that there's nobody local that would be involved in the process at all. But anyway, that's all that I have.
Was that a $100,000 grant for that?
It's not a dollar amount. They actually perform the service for you. So what happens is we have a group of, we have 2 people. We have myself and 2 people from here, Todd and 2 people from Planning and Zoning, somebody from the school district, somebody from, Kim Hansen from the school district. There's two other business owners that are on it. And I know I'm forgetting somebody else, but there's somebody else that's on it too, and we'll be meeting with them. Independence had this community visioning grant back in 2010, and one of the things that they had recommended was the facade work of all things. And there was a couple of other things that we had also done over the years as well, and the signs, the Independence signs that they recommended as you come into town, that's something else that they had recommended. It's a good group, and we have to thank Michelle Grinnell for that one, because she had previously worked for them years and years ago, and she came to me and told me about the possibility of doing this when I was telling her we were looking to to do this, we're going to pay for it. She said, you might be able to get that for free. She was right.
Perfect.
Okay, so I don't think there's anything else, so we need to,
Did the chief have anything?
I'll see you next week at committee of the whole.
Okay.
sorry about that, I didn't mean to ignore you. I'm sorry I don't have a granddaughter here, but you can, let's see, so I need a motion to go into closed session, right?
Right, but you want to excuse our
I do.
audience, and then we can
I do.
that, so.
Do I have to adjourn this meeting first or not?
No, we can't adjourn the meeting.
Oh, they have to ask, okay, wait, we've got some part.
Okay, so anybody that wants to leave is welcome to leave, except those students, and we're not done with you. Thank you all for coming. Kelly?
I don't think.
Thanks, Dawn.
No. Do you want to? Okay,
Thanks, Dawn.
we won't make you. It's always
Thanks, Kel.
good to get experience in public speaking.
Oh, come on.
Okay, fine. I'll go. You can.
There you go.
Okay.
Out of way.
You don't have to.
Okay.
Tell us your name.
My name's Abby. I'm in 12th grade. I'm from East Buchanan.
What class are you taking?
Government.
Government. Okay.
Yes. We're required to ask one question, so.
Okay.
So would Kidsville be ran out of both buildings or just a new one?
It's our understanding that it'll probably be run out of just the new one, and the reason for that is that when, it's hard to have a director remotely, so it's better for them to have it in one location. And we like the idea of moving the traffic away from where the current is, because the traffic pattern is really bad in the mornings and in the afternoons there, where, in front of where Kidsville is right now. So the hope is that by moving it over by where the movie theater is, that'll help us with there as well. But the primary reason why they have to do it that way is because it's just, for management purposes, it's harder to have, one person over at one location and one person at another location. So it makes it easier for the
If you look
operate.
at, you're right with the traffic pattern, you got people coming in and going out, and then you got people trying to go into the school to drop kids off. It really is kind of a back corner there.
Yeah,
So will it be expanding for more employees to be able to work there too?
it will. Yes. So when you need your job, we'll be there for you.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Hi.
I'm Charlie, and I'm also in 12th grade at East Buchanan. How many more slots would there be for children available after moving to the new building?
We're not sure exactly, but we currently have 145 slots. And I think our goal is to try to have as close to 200 as we possibly can, because if we've got 145 and we've got maybe 80 that are on the waiting list now, that's not going to do them all, but we're hoping to get as close to 200 as we possibly can. And if we can get more than that, we'll get more than that, but at least that's our goal at this point.
Thank you.
Sure.
So I'm Olivia Uris, and I'm also a senior at East Buchanan. My question is, what was the point of adding the word annually, and what does it mean in the hearing and ordinance?
Sure. What we were talking about was certain types of, some people, when they're, instead of just cutting their grass down, they have particular types of vegetation that they're growing. And we're not sure whether it's really plants or whether it's other types of well, I mean,
Butterfly gardens.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So.
People call it a butterfly garden, and their neighbors call it a patch of weeds.
So what
Okay.
what we wanted to do was, we wanted to be able to give an exemption when it really was a butterfly garden, but we didn't want it to be a situation where they just automatically had it. So by changing it to annually, that allowed us to each year to take a look at it and see whether it really is a butterfly garden or whether it is some kind of weeds that need to be removed.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Hi.
Hi. I'm Elijah. I'm also from East Buchanan, also in government. And you mentioned that you didn't want to have two locations for Kidsville with only one director.
Correct.
Could the city hire another director and have two locations?
Well, the city wouldn't hire them at all, and it's It's Kidsville director who you met, she was here tonight, and she's just uncomfortable with a situation where she'd have to be in two places at the same time. They don't want to hire another director. They might have some other type of personnel that they could use. But it's always easier to have all your things in one all of your people in one place as opposed to spreading them out. As soon as you start spreading them out, you don't always know what everybody's doing, and sometimes you have duplicative tasks that are being done because, you didn't realize somebody else was doing it at another location. It just makes more sense in order to do it that way. It's easier.
Another issue come into play if they had like 2 kids and they were different age groups, they decided to put this age here and this age there. A parent could possibly have kids at both places.
Yeah, exactly. That's true,
They
too.
wouldn't like that.
No, they wouldn't like that.
Having been an administrator that had 2 different buildings and different time, it's just, you spend a lot of your time going from building to building. And it's wasteful in that aspect. And it's nice to have everything in one place. It really does cut back on a lot of the cost.
All right, thank you.
Sure. You guys need to have sign up. She's got the magic pen, so she can.
Good questions.
Yeah.